Welcome to another episode of Primetime Muscle. I'm Tim Wilkins. Great seeing you last week. And this week, we're joined as always by the real deal Chris Cormier.
I take offense to that.
The real deal?
You never introduced me first. Like, what's on your mind?
I just did.
Okay.
And I did last week.
All right.
NTK Derek Elgindi. Hello, sir.
Thank you, Tim. I think Chris is just suffering from midlife crisis. He's feeling very insecure.
I was at the meeting and I heard the topics of the day, and I just think he's looking at me strangely because I have, ginormous buttocks. So I think he's trying to just looking at me like, and it's like the elephant in the room type of thing.
Nobody said elephant. Nobody said rhinoceros.
Okay.
But we did we did talk about this, and it's a big trend, not just in our sport, apparently, but around the world. Now, I'm going to go ahead as we talk about butt implants. Guys, I'm going to go with the pro. I'm going to go with the pro when you could all go for the con. How is this any different?
When I heard you say I'm gonna go with the pro, I thought you were gonna mention a pro's name. I said, man, we gotta be in trouble.
No,
I go with the amateur. I go with the pro.
No, here's the reason I'm not going to mention anybody by name. You get to sit out in the judges area. You get to sit out in the VIP. I'm the one where the pros walk past me on their way to prejudge.
Yeah.
They could shank me at the podium. I'm not throwing that out.
You're in arm's way.
So I'm not mentioning them by name, but I will say this. How is having a butt implant any different than having a breast implant?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
We want to know.
Yes, Eric?
So,
tell us.
When you're a bikini competitor, when you're a wellness competitor, figure competitor, even women's physique, even bodybuilding, the section where a woman breastfeeds, where accumulates natural fat, that's not being judged in any category. What that means is whether you have large breast, whether you don't have large breast, whether you have an implant, it's up to you. It makes zero difference on the judging. This is a legitimate question. A lot of the female competitors, they ask me, should I get augmentation in order to become a better competitor? And my answer is always, it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter at all.
It doesn't matter, Chris.
So when you see people training these girls, and you see a lot of these girls training each other, giving advice. They're on a flat bench press. So I'm always thinking, I also see them on the decline press. So I'm like, why in the hell are you doing a decline press? You have fatty tissue there to start with. If you do happen to get implants after that, like who's going to see any type of development on the lower part of the woman's chest?
Chris, I can go an entire show.
You just want the upper pecs.
I don't know if
upper pecs is the only thing you can ever even build.
I don't know if Sydney Gillen has augmentation or not. I don't know if Maureen Blanquisco have augmentation or not. I don't know if the girl who has 10th place has augmentation or not. I don't look at it. I don't judge it. I don't even have the time to look at it. So what I'm looking at, the abdominal section, I'm looking at glutes, I'm looking at legs, I'm looking at, is she over conditioned? Is there too many veins and this and that? And I couldn't tell who has augmentation and who doesn't. And it's not important. You can win the Olympia without it. So.
Can you? You're our historian. Flashback to the last 10 Olympians that held the title of bikini champ. And tell me the one that was not balanced up top.
So I'm going to say that...
Jennifer, Isa, Janet.
Yeah, I couldn't tell, but if you look at the history of bikini, the first one was Sonia Gonzalez, right? Natalia Mello won, Yashira Robles, Courtney King won. I don't know if they had augmentation or not. And because we never judge it, and a lot of us judges, we don't have the time to look at it. Now, going back to the difference between glutes and breasts is that we are judging the glutes. We are judging the glutes. So if you show up on stage with an imbalance, which is not natural to the, anatomy, indentation.
And the building process that you can build in the gym. And what's the possibilities of that?
Exactly. There is, and Chris and I talk about it, the human anatomy where the glutes connect with the hamstrings. Okay, so it's a natural connection. Whether it was men and women, if you look at a picture, famous picture of Ronnie Coleman from the back, where he squeezes his glutes. There's a natural indentation of the glute going into the hamstring.
Yeah.
You look at Franciele Matos, the current wellness champion. There's a natural indentation between the glutes going into the hamstring. When you don't have, a lot of girls, they call the teardrop, when it just goes down and then stops and then there's extra volume, that's an imbalance and judges are gonna catch it. You're gonna go from, hey, I never had butt implants, I was winning shows, I was on the first call out, to, hey, you have an imbalance and now you end up on the last call out.
So, do you think, you're saying they placed better before. I think at the beginning, when wellness, first hit America, at first I think the judges were still looking at what they're going to be faced with. I don't think they understood that they're going to get hit with some people with fake glutes.
Well, now that he shot my other side of the argument down faster than a Chinese spy balloon, it's brutally obvious when they get out there, isn't it? I mean, we've got videos of what obvious looks like.
Some are obvious and some are not obvious. I'm not quite sure if I could reveal some of our strategies to identify it. I have no problem because, first of all,
just the facts.
Just the facts. When you place an implant in your body, whether it's a breast implant, whether it's a shoulder implant, a calf implant, or a butt implant, the surgeon executing that, he's not running, he's not walking with the customer, right, with the patient. The person is laying down and you make it, look nice, and then you finish the surgery and you closed everything and it looks just dandy, right? Oh, nobody's gonna notice.
No one's gonna know.
Nobody's gonna notice.
No one's gonna know.
And then you look at the development of the leg, it doesn't match the development on the glute. So you go, okay, how did you grow?
And it's gonna get worse as you get older.
Exactly. How did you grow
smaller?
This huge glute without any leg development? In addition to that, Tim,
that makes sense.
Competitors, they don't just parachute on stage, right? They don't.
You gotta walk.
Whether you like it or not, you gotta walk. You gotta walk to that spot. And when you walk and stuff doesn't move naturally, like we've seen for the last thousands of years,
I'm wrong.
Something is wrong, right?
Well, and the other thing you're dealing with is when you're prepping for a show, you get to a level of leanness that the implant doesn't get. So the legs are lean, the abs are lean, the hip flexors, the everything, the glutes should be as lean and have some semblance of movement and striation, maybe even a feathering when you're that lean. And when you got feathering movement and then you hit glute and all you see is, the serial number or the price tag, something's up.
And listen, all of us, we've been in the sport for so long. We've been looking at human bodies our entire lives. You show up with something that is completely different than we've seen for 20, 30 years, that's going to be an imbalance.
My wife watches the show. I do not look at bodies. I read their names. I give out trophies. That's all I do. No body looking.
All up here.
Just, you know what? Don't even know their names. I just read them off the page and forget them. Go ahead.
All up here, girl.
So, I want to understand why some of them try to do it, because it's really cheating, right? There was a competitor that went to the gym, and there was a competitor that did squats, that lifted weights, and had the muscular development to display on stage. And this competitor who just used some type of, imbalance, did not do what you're supposed to do, which is bodybuilding. You're building your body. It's not called implant building or, it's bodybuilding. It requires the breakdown of protein and building muscle. And Tim, I feel passionate about it because that's the integrity of our sport.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Terry, because it was always fun to me in my lifetime to attack a certain area of my physique and improve it. And that's the same process and fun that a lot of competitors should share when it comes to building glutes. You see a lot of girls that came from nothing and built something. And so it's doable. And you see it all the time. and these are real glutes. So, I mean, I feel like, you know, that should be part of the fun, is developing your physique over time and then reaching up the title and, you know, winning a title or something like that. That's the whole fun of the process.
Well, guys, and we talk about this with other things that the male competitors do, and some of the female competitors.
Synthol, right?
Synthol, the various things that are doing. When you skip that step, it doesn't look natural. It looks like you've got two Bosu balls in your butt. How you sleep on your back anymore, I have no idea. But it's just, there's something unnatural. If you're thinking about skipping the leg work, literally and figuratively, you're not going to look the way you're supposed to look.
You're absolutely right. We're trained to identify not only when you pose, but when you walk. And it's sad because a lot of times I've judged some shows where I said, man, this person had the potential of winning. Men or women, the potential of actually winning the entire show, but somehow because of an imbalance, they actually lost, went to the last call out. We see that a lot.
Now, these, I don't know if we want to go to the video wall or just give a quick look here, but we see how drastic it is. And this is not someone who,
Boom!
Who is in contest shape.
Girl.
Let's go to the
board, Johnny.
Okay. So, Aaron, just pause it right here.
Stop!
Okay, so, you know, just a disclaimer here, America, Brazil, Spain, this is a disclaimer. It is your choice to have whatever you want done in your physique. It is your choice. So, you know, so,
Yep, okay.
right here,
This one.
you see this, there's not that natural indentation, right? Between the glutes and the hamstrings that connect. It's just a very voluptuous imbalance. It's an overdevelopment of whatever muscularity that makes the physique not.
Now,
Is this injections or is it something that you slip up?
You know, Chris, it's a good point. I don't know. I don't care.
let's go to the gentleman. Let's look real
know,
quick while you explain this, Tarek. Let's look at the gentleman we've got here. Because I've actually seen this from an MC standpoint. From the side, someone hits a pose, and it's out 6 to 8 to 12 inches bigger than where it should be. And that's not normal glute development.
I mean, you can see that, you know, the indentation is not natural. You know, it should be a little bit right here. That's the natural indentation. I mean, you know, God bless his soul. You know, he got no ass. You know, but he's selling what he has. You know what I mean?
He got what he got.
There's an imbalance here, right? There's not an indentation to the glute.
The walk you could.
Right. I mean, Chris had a big butt when he competed.
I had a big butt.
Chris, you had a connection, a natural connection to the hamstring, right?
Right, exactly. Because the anatomy, like you say, the anatomy is everything, and you're not gonna cheat the anatomy code and start to develop muscles that no one else has at all. So I think that's part of the reason why.
Go back to the girl one more time.
No, we're good with the girl.
No,
we get the girl.
Look, I mean, this is not leg day. Hashtag leg day.
No, if you're going to make that mind-booty connection, do it on your own terms. But no, I guess the overarching theme is there's certain things, put in the work, and if you're not going to develop in that area, max out what you can max out and call it a day, because you're going to get judged for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, leave some comments. Let us know what you guys think about butt implants, and does it have a room in our sport? Go ahead.
Good place to go. All right, we'll be back with more Primetime Muscle right after this. Welcome back to Primetime Muscle. This segment is one that's a little bit controversial, and it's a. What's the matter? What?
You know, let me just stop you right there.
I haven't introduced the segment yet.
Okay, go ahead.
You want to go?
No, you.
Oh no, I think it's best you go. Now that I see where you're going, now you better go.
I just want to say, we're gonna bring up the fitness girls, and I can't do this one because you're gonna ask me a question that I shouldn't even answer because the last time it backfired on me, and old Miss had something to say to me right when she came off the stage, made a beeline for me, and let me know. Oh yeah, I showed you what was up. I showed you I was the champ. You told me that I wasn't gonna win. You said Ariel was gonna win. I won the show. My second one, boom! And I'm backstage getting chastised by old Miss.
And I told you, she reached over the crowd for me at the expo, grabbed me by the shirt and pulled me in. Tell Chris he's still a punk. And pushed me away. It was prison stuff.
I don't want to be involved in this.
He's recusing himself, Judge.
The fitness competitors are the superheroes of our sport. I just can't believe what they do on a diet. It's hard enough to hit a pose. Those competitors jump around, and it's incredible. Missy Truscott is an incredible competitor. And she's also fierce. She didn't like the comment that Chris Cormier made on a previous episode.
I just said, show me.
He said, Ariel Kadar is going to win the Olympia. And prior to Whitney Jones winning the Olympia, Missy was the champion. So by default, if Whitney Jones is not there, you'd assume that Missy Truscott would be the champion. Now, listen, I know both of you like Ariel Kadar.
But Ariel had
back down because I know you also went in that direction. Okay,
go back down.
You also went in that direction.
Luckily,
you were bragging about Ariel Kadar the whole freaking time. She's the sweetest girl. She's a doll. She won the Arnold.
Florida's own.
But both of you. Not only Chris, I think you also owe Missy Truscott an apology.
I went for youth.
So now we were both wrong.
I got shut down.
And so the topic I was about to introduce before Chris went on to his apology tour was, the question that gets asked. You always say that if the other champions were at their best or there, if Oksana hadn't been hurt, if Whitney hadn't been hurt, what would that fight have been like? Would Missy still have the title?
It's speculation, obviously, but if you get Whitney Jones' performance in 2021 versus Whitney Jones versus Missy Truscott 2022, I think Missy would have still won. Because I think 2021 Whitney Jones was not, even though she won, was not her best performance. If you get Whitney Jones' greatest performance ever, it's very hard for anybody to beat. But the 2021 version of Whitney Jones was not her best performance, and I think that performance is beatable by Missy Truscott's performance in 2022.
Well, Missy is also she's almost like the juggernaut of the sport as far as super athletic, the physique is there. You're probably the best physique in the class, and strong movements, high acrobats and everything. So she's the most solid all around. And Ariel, the younger one, but youngest out of the group. She can show times where she does some bobbles here and there, and may not have a great routine. And Whitney is solid also, not as strong physique as Missy, but a stellar routine you're going to find from her.
Well, so it goes back to that, because that's always amazed me, how the fitness competitors can be in such great shape and be so active and so dominant in a routine. Physique to physique, if Oksana was at her peak for her routine, I still think Missy's kind of moved past to be more of that iconic physique that figures looking, or the fitness is looking for now. She's got more of that larger shape that Whitney's got. Oksana is a little leaner and a little less wide and muscular, I think, is what I'm looking for.
Very creative in her routine.
Very creative.
When
her routines
she did the Joker, that was one of the best routines
Creativity, man, that's her strength.
Oksana was incredible on stage. on the physique round, I don't think she was as good as Whitney Jones or Missy Truscott. But on the posing round, she had some stuff that was unprecedented. And it's almost like you're looking at the new generation, that Whitney Jones, which still has an amazing physique, versus Oksana, who possibly, hey, I might not have Whitney Jones' physique, but I might beat her on the posing routine. And now you're looking at Ariel Kadar taking the place of Oksana, and Missy Truscott possibly taking the place of Whitney Jones. So now we're going to see this battle.
Well, we start to talk about, Derek Lunsford versus Nick Walker, next generation. Who are the young guns? You've also got Jacqueline Baker in that mix.
Yes, boy, we should not forget about Jacqueline Baker, because she placed second, and actually, just like Missy came out and talked about with Chris Cormier, hey, tell that punk, Jacqueline came up to me and said, now you guys need to start talking about me. What I liked about Jacqueline Baker is she's kind of like a X Factor, because her fitness routine was emotional. The music was different. She did not perform something that was, high energy the whole time. And she touched a different tone, which is more of an artistic. I'm not here just to do crazy jumps. I want to communicate something that's going to make you feel. And she did wonderful. I loved watching her routine. I actually went home and actually wanted to watch her again. So I commend Jacqueline Baker. What you did at the 2022 Mr. Olympia was incredible. And you are definitely one of the favorites to win the Arnold or to win the Olympia. Now, she's going to have to battle it out with Missy Truscott on that posing, because she doesn't have the smallest waist. But if she continues to improve on her routine, we could be talking about her eventually becoming Olympia fitness champion.
Cap off those shoulders, widen that back up, and taper that waist. Your waist is your waist. You can only make it so small, right, Chris? You gotta bring up
those waist trimmers now, so a lot of people are manipulating their waist. Also.
Do you believe in that, man? Do you believe
I think it works.
A waist trimmer.
I think it is way. I mean, I didn't do it in my day, but I feel like there's a look with it and there's a look without it.
Here's what I got from a waist trimmer, because even one of the guys that was training me a few years ago says, you got to get a waist trimmer, you got to put on peppermint alcohol with mixed a little bit of baby oil to break down the fat. Here's what I got: wet drawers. I got wet underwear, because all it does is just pour sweat from your midsection. It might pull water from it. You're not losing fat, and you're not pulling it in. It's not like you're
bodybuilders do bodybuilders wear that, Chris?
Well, I think Nick Walker wears one. I think that's how
his waist style down a lot.
His waist down a lot. So I think it works. I think it's okay for most. I mean, I wasn't a fan of something being so tight around my midsection.
What about the breathing during your workout? You need that space to breathe in air.
The only thing I wrapped around was like a neoprene wrap that made me sweat more in that area, around my lower back and ab area, but nothing to actually manipulate my waist.
To try to bind it like binding feet back in the day. I mean, it's just it's a crazy thing.
The intestines must be getting a good workout.
You're just compressing your organs, man.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So the ladies, that's the big question. Where would the ladies have fallen? And of course, you don't know that because you don't know, like Ariel, who had a couple of slip-ups.
The rumor has it she was injured.
Yes.
Okay.
But, and to our...
She still took third.
To our defense.
She's a doll. Everybody loves her.
But to our defense, one of the reasons that we were such big backers is the run-up to the Olympia is a couple of key shows, and one is whoever wins the Fitness International at the Arnold Classic
Gotta be a front runner.
Odds-on favorite that year.
You're right, Tim, and that's a good indicator. We should have taken in consideration that Ariel Kadar had an amazing performance. But, we're talking about injury. This is a sport where if you are resilient enough not to get injured, it's part of your talent.
You can get injured even warming up for the show.
No, but
we've seen that.
Yeah.
Chris, some football players, they're incredible, but they're prone to injury. And that goes on their scouting report. Amazing athlete, so-and-so, but injury prone. And as a bodybuilder, that's the same thing, If you are a guy that competed for all this time, Dexter Jackson, and you never got injured, that's part of your skill level, your talent. If you are a guy, you're in your first year, second year as pro, and you've already had 2-3 injuries, I'm sorry, buddy. It's not like we're not compassionate, but it's professional sport. You're either there or you're not there.
Well, as much as we talk about what it would have been like then, it's like you said, it's pure speculation. It's speculation who will be back for this year with injuries, without, whose routines. I would love to see Fitness Masters Olympia with some of the champs from back in the day, a Jen Hendershot and Adela. Some of those previous champs.
Adela looked incredible. I saw her at the Olympia.
Yeah.
Adela, she can jump. I guarantee you, she can jump everywhere.
Well. It's going to be interesting, as always, to see who qualifies, if there's any new up-and-comers coming this way, and who makes it back in what kind of condition to give us the show of the night. It's always super exciting at the Olympia to see fitness. And we've got some exciting, somewhat controversial stuff coming up when we come back on Primetime Muscle.
You diet down, train hard, and supplement smart for months. When the time comes to step on stage, don't leave your tan to chance. Go with the pros. Pro Tan. #1 worldwide since 1987 and the official sponsor of the Olympia for the last 15 years. Don't step on stage without it. Pro Tan.
And we're back with our final segment today of Primetime Muscle, and we have an interesting one. So guys, we've talked in the past about what countries are fielding the next big movement in the sport at all the different levels. Canada has been a big feeder. Occasionally we get a big flood from the Middle East. England
had their run.
Now, Nigeria.
The brothers.
So
from Nigeria.
All the brothers from Nigeria. So all these guys, who all is making their way over?
Who's the Nigerian nightmare?
So
coming.
The first one to think about is Andrew Jacked. He had an explosive 2022. He was at the Olympia and he displayed great physique. Simpson Dauda won the show in Prague, got a first call out at the Olympia. Blessing Awodibu, he won Indianapolis and he won New York. He's incredible. The guy that's still kind of young, but possibly the most upside. He works with Chris is Quentin Beastwood. Yeah, some guys think that this guy's going to be Mr. Olympia. I had a chance to see him guest pose in Canada, in Vancouver, and the first thing that I noticed is a tall guy with monster legs.
And those calves.
Yeah.
Calves are swole. Hamstring, the glute tie-in, the striations there. He has the most upside to me is Beastwood. The other guys, Andrew Jack, a little bit older, but a rookie himself, so he has a lot of upside because that's all he's done is this first year. That's the only thing under his belt.
But when he walked out at the Olympia press conference, as someone who hadn't seen him at his show win that he qualified for the Olympia, when he walked out, there was a collective gasp when they realized how big he is, across the shoulders, head-to-head standing next to the guys. A lot of guys walk out, it's, 5'8", 5'9", 5'8", 5'9". He's about 6'1", 6'2".
That's a grown man.
He's a grown man. Other guys look trophy-sized next to him.
Yeah, it was crazy. And Lee Haney did that to people back in the day. Go ahead.
So, I want to take in consideration, sometimes we forget about it. I'm looking here, the population of Nigeria as of 2022 is 216 million.
Whoa.
Yes.
Whoa.
So that's a stat that we should take in consideration. A lot of times we think of these countries, this is not a small country. Brazil is 230 million. Nigeria, 220 million. So we could potentially see even more coming.
Just like they did with the basketball players that started to come over from the motherland and these different, you would think of small countries. A lot of Americans think it's just a smaller country, but maybe you're going to see more and more Nigerians come out of the woodworks, and they got potential to be some of the best bodybuilders on the planet.
Well, we have the beautiful wall up here to look at some of these pictures and kind of compare these guys and see what they're bringing now. The first and the biggest name, Andrew Jacked.
Wow. I mean, we've talked about this guy, and the thing that I really like about him, look at the side triceps. It looks like the muscle is just popping out of his physique.
Up in there, Chris.
Right? He's just jumping. Yeah. The shoulders, the chest. He has a genetically gifted physique. So it's not only the muscle bellies that look impressive, but then he's tall with legs and a small waist. I mean, what else do you want to have? God just blessed this man with all kinds of gifts.
Yeah, so what he's going to need to do now is just fix some of the poses. Like even here, you want to grab 4 fingers and interlock your 4 fingers and lock that wrist down. So that's going to shorten this up and it's going to thicken this forearm. That's going to make that pose a lot better. And you want to show a little bit of that back shoulder. Just twist your trunk clockwise a little bit more, and you're gonna have a better improved bodybuilder with just those 2 little tweaks.
Well, let's look over by Tarek in this back pose. I'm gonna go away from the back for a minute, which is already pretty glorious. The rear delts and the shoulder caps all the way around. There's a lot of guys that have that hole mid to outside of their delt. He does not, and it makes him so wide side to side.
Well, this is an underdeveloped rookie. So this is him very raw, but still very new, and still finding the exercises, finding the poses, finding his way through the success of the IFBB.
So, Tim, you're correct. His clavicle bones are vastly, the width is there. And I agree with Chris. With that kind of width, it's going to take time for him to fill up. If we look at the back double biceps, there's a bodybuilder.
Oh, yeah.
He used to be a pilot, Joe Stubbs.
Yeah.
Joe Stubbs was considered to have possibly the best back in bodybuilding. And that's the kind of potential that Andrew Jacked has once he gets that width with a lot of muscle.
Because this muscle is really not knowing how to really even train at this point. That's what this body is here at the Olympia. And placing top 8 in your first year, we're really not even knowing how to find your way through the gym and posing on the stage. That's just remarkable.
Now, confirm the rule for me, Chris, because this is why I always harp on height. Inch for inch to the guys, how many pounds should you have per inch to keep up with another guy?
I mean, that's always going to be hard to say, because then you got to take into account shorter quads, longer torso, the width of the physique, everything like that. But when you're, his height, he's probably around the 300 area or just under the 300 area.
You think that's where he's at right now?
He's probably like 280-ish.
280, but I was always under the impression it was like 10 pounds per inch. So if you're battle to battle with Derek Lunsford and Nick Walker at 260, at 6'1", you got to be every inch of every pound of 300 to keep up.
Yeah, because his limbs are kind of long, the legs and the arms kind of long. But I would think that he's
that's really relative, Tim, because you put 20 pounds of muscle on Phil Heath, you're looking at a complete animal. And you put 20 pounds of muscle on Craig Kovacs, even though he's taller, you're not going to see that dramatic difference. Even guys that are shorter than Phil Heath, even if you put 20 pounds of muscle, because they're not as genetically gifted. Right here, he needs to fill up. But the more weight he gains, the more of a freak he's going to become faster than some of the other guys. Now another freak is Samson Dauda, right? Samson Dauda is another freak. Aaron, do we have Samson Dauda here? Oh, so that's another freak.
With the quickness.
Yeah, so that's another freak. Now, obviously you got to first call out, this guy is on fire. He's one of the best bodybuilders in the world. But we need to get the skin a little bit thinner, right?
Right.
The key question is he in the early process of finding out his conditioning, or we're dealing here with a possible Brandon Curry situation where it's really hard to get that thin skin?
Well, just knowing Milos, he's trying to do it all at once. He's trying to get him as leaner as possible, but trying to develop him as fast as possible. We can always run in a little bit of rushing the process too much and getting a distended belly. To me, his stomach can still keep some attention there, making sure you're not rushing the process and overfeeding the body. I know I've talked to Meals many times. He don't think it's possible for him to do that at this point in time. He wants to put on another 20 pounds on a guy. So I mean, coming straight to, into this next year, I think if you pay close attention to that, just appreciate the process of building the muscle body parts and not just looking at the scale.
10 pounds harder, not 20 pounds bigger.
Yes. And, Chris mentioned a good point here. Hey, we all love the fact that he grew, right? Everybody loved. He really posted some pictures, and he showed up at the Olympia looking like a freak. And he continues to grow, continues to impress. He's on fire. But as everything around grows, so does the midsection.
Yeah.
Keep that in check.
So let's see who we got next year, fellas. I believe it is
Blessing. Debo, yeah.
Yes.
Blessing.
Wow.
So this guy's midsection is one of his strongest part of his body, and I know he utilized that great in some of his poses. Everyone talks about the leg development is not there yet. He knows it. He's paying close attention to that. His back and his legs are going to come. That's his next project for this next coming year. But he is definitely someone to watch out for. I mean, he's a real showman. You saw how he has a lot of energy. He gives a lot of himself to the fans and to his social media. People are looking for him to be a better bodybuilder on the stage as he is on the social media.
We're kind of in the King Kamali realm right here. There's a whole lot of that WWE showmanship, and it's a big personality, and we just need him to get out there and just take it up a couple levels to kind of break even in the middle or surpass the trash talk.
Tim, I want to say something. A lot of people, this guy's fun. Everybody loves his social media, and people get so crazy about, he does all this stuff on social media. What about the stage? Shut the hell up. He won 2 pro shows. Exactly. Where have you been? Okay? Exactly. He did win 2 pro shows. There are guys that never post on social media. They also never win shows. He won the New York Pro. He won the Indy Pro. Shut the hell up. Leave him to be. He just missed his peak at the Olympia. He could very well come back and be in the top 10. I'm a huge fan of the Boogeyman. Keep posting. And if you're a hater of the Boogeyman, shut the hell up.
And I'll tell you one thing else. What all these guys have in common that I know for a fact, that they have all this upside for all of these guys to be great champions in the future, but all these guys still are raw, very raw guys. All these guys can improve quickly. They have the genetics to do so. You've seen it play out, throughout this whole past year. All the guys from Nigeria was coming up in the ranks and getting more and more.
So speaking of raw, real quick, let's get to Quentin Beastwood.
That's the X factor, Tim.
All right, here you go.
That's Chris Cormier's guy. Yeah. So look at these legs.
We did some work in the gym and, just helping him connect with his body, which was fun. He's a great guy, loves great food and good conversation, very smart guy. And just to make his way down to San Diego and be there, that showed me a lot that you really want to improve. You really want to do your best, and you want to show a big difference in the next coming year that he competes. And I think you're going to do so.
Tim, I had a chance to watch him guest pose in Vancouver. When he showed these legs, I said, man, tall guy with big legs. He's got the clavicle bones. He's going to have to fill up the frame on the chest and the back, get that thickness. He's tall, large clavicle bones. It's going to take longer than guys that are a little bit narrow. But he could be the one with the most amount of potential here.
And I say, of his leg.
Your physique changes once you got those massive legs. If you're a tall guy and you got massive legs, then you're going in a different category. Here's the scenario. We're talking about Hadi. We're talking about Derek and Nick Walker. Could you imagine in 2 years, we have Quentin Beastwood, we have Samson Dauda, Blessing, and Andrew Jack at full potential, and these guys are on the first call out too? Could you imagine Quentin Beastwood and Andrew Jack on either side of Derek Lunsford?
Massive.
All of a sudden, you're like, whoa, what's going on here?
Yep. Oh, hey, Chris. So, all right, let's wrap. But
Can't talk about him enough.
you can't talk about him enough. When you got that many people winning pro shows at the highest levels,
From
New York
the
Pro,
motherland.
Indy Pro, it's so impressive. Drop us, as always, your thoughts on these various guys that we talked
Let us
about.
know what you think about the Nigerians.
Let us know,
Let's see it.
and like, comment, and of course, subscribe and share with your friends so they know that Primetime Muscle is your official show to get
Just the facts.
the
Jack.
facts. Tarek El-Gindi,
Thank you, Tim. Great to see you. Let's go.
the real deal, the Louis Vuitton Don.
That's what, baby.
Chris Cormier.
I'm back in the house. We will see you soon.
Tim Wilkins, we'll see you on the next Primetime Muscle.